Hello all. Today we have Mr. Deepak. He teaches public administration optional subject at Officers IAS Academy. So Mr. Deepak has done his graduation from IIT Madras and he's been mentoring civil service aspirants for the last 10 years. So in this video, we will be discussing the scope of public administration as an optional subject for civil services mains exam. Hello Deepak.
Hello Guna.
So when I think about public administration as a subject, what comes to my mind is that should be dealing with government, governance, the routine of IAS, IPS, their activities. So whether my understanding is correct, I want to know what we will be covering as a part of public administration optional syllabus for mains.
So that's correct. But as an academic subject, public administration looks into the why aspect of all that you mentioned. Basically, government and all institutions of the state. Everything about the inner mechanism of working. So, you know a lot of things about the government, but the optional subject will give you clarity on why it is the way it is. You know, the why aspect, the reason, the logic behind why we have a certain set of things. Now, you take for instance, why an IAS officer starts the career at the district level, then moves to the state headquarters, and then goes on central deputation. Why this sequence? Why, for instance, a constable has only one promotion in the entire career? Or you take Mughal administration, why did it fail? Why was the British administration so much more successful? Then, in the same district, why you have an SP and also a commissioner? What's really the difference? What is the logic behind this? Why regulatory bodies need to be independent? Better financial management. Why the government should not be taking too much debt? So you will have a detailed understanding of all that happens behind the scenes in the government. So that's basically what the PubAd option is all about. So you have two papers. Paper 1 deals with how things should be. Best case scenario, ideal scenario. Paper 2, which is Indian administration, deals with how things are in reality, in practice. So this is what the optional subject is all about.
So to cover this public administration optional subject for our exam, how much time it will take for a fresher to complete? Because we see a lot of aspirants coming from different subject backgrounds, engineering background, law background, science background. So how much time it will take for them to cover the subject? That is my first question. The second question is, how much time it will take for you to complete this optional subject as a part of the classroom program?
So anyone from any background can take this PubAd optional. So the time that it will take for someone to complete the syllabus, it depends on how sincere you are, your capacity in being able to learn very fast. I'll give you an example. We had a student in 2020 from medical science background. Her name is Taruni Pandey. Now, only after the prelims results were declared, once she found her name in the list, she started preparing for the PubAd option. So in a matter of 2 months, from start to finish, she completed the optional subject. She got 269, which is a good score in PubAd, and then also landed in service that very same year. So it depends on the candidate. The program as we've organized at Officers IAS Academy, it will take us 200 hours to finish the syllabus end to end. Subtopic, everything in a detailed manner will take around 200 hours. And the classes will be conducted on weekends.
So a fresher, apart from attending the classes, to score well in public administration, what kind of homework from the beginning and fresher is expected to do?
Number 1, pay attention in class. Number 2, revise what's being taught to you. Number 3, in the material that has been provided to you, pay attention to the keywords. Now finally, in the actual paper, for you to be able to score well, there are 2 things which are required. One is appropriate keywords need to be used. Number 2, your answer should have a logical flow. For someone who's reading the answer, a good flow should be there. Now, don't mistake flow for grammatical correctness. In UPSC Mains, there is no marks for grammatical correctness. But the keyword should be placed in full sentences and there should be a logical flow to the development of the answer. So this is what is extremely important to score well.
So you're mentioning about materials and keywords. So as a part of the classroom coaching, you will be providing any materials, or you will be asking the students to buy materials from the market?
One huge problem with this PubAd optional is that there is superfluous material available in the market. Now, restricting your material is a very, very important challenge, because you're always tempted by what some topper has suggested. Let me go buy this book. For decorative purposes, always you can purchase these books and decorate your bookshelves, but that's not going to really help you score well. So, the class slides, the handwritten notes which I'll be providing to you, to cover the basics, it is more than sufficient. In addition to this, I will also be providing certain keyword documents. I told you, right, that the keywords are extremely important. Distilling all the keywords from IGNOU material, the Indira Gandhi National Open University. It's free material, it's available in the market. It's the best material for PubAd. All the keywords from the IGNOU documents will also be collected and given to you separately. So it is my class slides, then the handwritten notes which I'll be providing, the keyword documents, these three together will comprehensively cover the syllabus.
So now I have a doubt. See, I see a lot of students, they completely depend on material. They don't make notes as such. I see some students, they also make personal notes. So what is your advice for public administration? Is it really required to make a personal notes by these students?
Okay. See, ultimately, speed is very important in the actual examination hall. When will you be able to write fast? It is only when you have revised very well. Now, revision is always better when you do it from your own handwritten notes. Always seeing your own handwritten notes before the exam day, stress will not be there, because you know you've written it. It is for this reason that handwritten notes are very important. It doesn't mean you need to be preparing these notes when the class is happening, but after the class is done, always spend some time to just note down in very short phrases what has been taught to you, what you have learned, so that every time you look at it, you will remember what you have learned in class. So I would really encourage students to prepare their own handwritten notes for not just the PubAd optional, but also for all other general studies subjects.
So attending your classroom program, doing all the keyword exercises, making my personalized notes, revising it properly. So with this much effort, is it possible to tackle the mains exam, or is it really required to take separate tests?
Yes, tests are extremely important. If you look at the PubAd optional, if you look at the question papers of the last 40 years, it's the same set of themes which get repeated year after year. PubAd, if you look at some of the previous year questions, they might look very complicated, a bit difficult, but it's the same story that they keep recycling year after year. So in the period of the course that we have here, we'll be having 10 tests. Now these 10 tests will cover the same themes that have been tested in previous year questions year after year. Now this will give you an opportunity to see for yourself whether you have understood what has been taught to you in class. Now, if you look at the feedback session after the test, again, me as a teacher, I will know how much of what I have taught has actually reached you by you taking this test. But if you're feeling shy, if you don't want to feel exposed, no, my peer group could be doing better than me, I don't want to seem inferior, you need to come out boldly, not be shy. Take every single test, even if you're not really prepared for it. It's a great opportunity in learning. But these 10 tests are only for the first phase. After you clear prelims, there will be daily answer writing assignments which will also be evaluated the very same day until you go to the main examination. So daily feedback will be given. So for PubAd or general studies, mains, overall mains requires a lot of answer writing. It's 50% content and 50% answer writing.
Okay. See, in your experience, can you just share me what kind of challenges specific to public administration which the aspirants face during their course of preparation?
So, like I earlier mentioned, the biggest challenge is restricting your content and trusting the teacher, right? Now, many always go around the internet searching for what could be the best material, and a lot of them end up only doing that search. The constant quest of what is the best material is going to take you nowhere. So restrict your sources and revision. If you don't have a plan for revision, there is something called the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. If you've studied something, there is a huge percentage of it that disappears at the end of the day. By next morning, it's even more. By the end of the week, almost 70% is gone. So having a revision plan is extremely important. So restrict your sources, revise it more, and you'll tend to do well in the subject.
How about the thinkers part in public administration? See, for me, in general, when I come across thinkers part in other subjects, it is something which I also personally struggle and many students struggle. So whether PubAd deals with the thinkers or how is it easy to manage?
Yeah, so public administration, there are some scholars, some thinkers who basically explained how the government should be run.
Okay.
Now, understanding the thinkers part is hugely dependent on how well it is taught to the student. If you're able to teach it to the student in a way that the student can teach it to someone else, where they don't need to mug anything, in a very conceptual, in a very example-based manner, if they are able to learn thinkers, then the problem is solved. So thinkers is not really much of a deal. It's not really that difficult when it comes to public administration.
Okay. So now, who can choose public administration as an optional subject? Because I see a lot of students aspiring to become IAS, IPS. They tend to have an inclination towards this public administration, having an understanding that the subject deals with the functioning of IAS and IPS, like how I was having initially. I even asked that question at the first. So you tell me, the subject will be better suiting for which candidates?
Okay.
From which subject background, people can take public administration as their optional.
So first of all, a candidate should not confuse the aspiration to get into the IAS and IPS with public administration. This is different, this is different. You might like movies, films, cinema. That doesn't mean you want to understand the craft of filmmaking, right? Liking films is different, understanding the craft of filmmaking is different. So that's the difference between you wanting to get into the service and you wanting to pick a bad optional. See, it's a very open-ended optional, anyone from any background can take. But if you are someone from, if your graduation subject is something that you're able to connect with, you've learned very well, if you're very comfortable with it, please take your graduation subject as your optional subject. If let's say you're from the law background, chartered accountancy, medical science, please don't come to PubAd. If you're comfortable with it, just go ahead with it. Otherwise, there's just no restriction, which is why it tends to be the most popular optional. But just because it's popular does not mean it's the right fit for you. You need to be able to connect with the subject and you need to know that it's about the inner workings and mechanisms and not just the fanciful, I want to be an IAS, so PubAd is the best option. No, it doesn't work.
Okay. See, I see many social sciences, optional subjects from different social sciences background has a kind of overlap in the GS subjects in both prelims as well as mains. Whether public administration has that kind of relevance in GS?
So PubAd is the option that has probably the highest overlap with GS. So rather than me telling that there is a lot of overlap, it's important that you look at the facts. So along with this video, we'll share a document that maps the GS main syllabus with the PubAd optional syllabus. Which topic in mains GS is connected to which topic in PubAd syllabus. So this document is, it's important that you go through it to understand how much of an overlap there really is between GS and PubAd.
My final question. So, for those students who are willing to take PubAd as the optional subject, what kind of hand-holding you will be providing for those students till they clear?
So, teaching is just one part. What is most important is true mentorship. Sometimes mentorship is just about spending time with that candidate. Talk to them for 10 minutes. Just randomly quiz them. What do you think about this? So that you know how much of what you've taught has actually reached the student. So mentorship is not just about having this chat, it's about assessment, looking at how you are performing, what improvements can be made. So mentorship is a huge part of it. And this mentorship is something that goes a very long way. Sometimes I have students from 2 previous batches who are still in touch for the support in the optional. Then it is about also using a lot of examples in your answers. So rather than you running around and trying to collect these examples. A current affairs in PubAd document will be shared with you. It will be a distillation of all PubAd related journals, articles in the Hindu, the Indian Express that are related to the PubAd option. So this will be given to a document. This is something that I personally do it myself. Then there is the keywords document. So this is what I would say is very critical. This mentorship and the right kind of content and simplicity in the whole program. Not trying to. You should never be in a situation where you have to mug up something. So that's something that I feel is the most critical part.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Guna.
for,
Always a pleasure talking to
giving
you.
a comprehensive idea view on public administration. So,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.